Alright, so today I'm going to be going over 14 different mods that I think should have already been in Subnautica as base game features, because I feel like Subnautica, while it did come out as a very complete, very well-rounded game, came out as a really good finished product as it should be, but I just feel like there was a few things that were missing, just really small things, didn't really nothing game-breaking or anything like that. But just some really small things that I feel like should have already been in the game. So yeah, without further ado, let's get to our first little mod. Alright, so our first mod is going to be called the Epic Weather Mod. So as we all know, if we've all been playing Subnautica for quite some time, the game does not have any dynamic weather events as far as I know. As far as the solar eclipse that happens once every however often it decides to happen, that's about the only thing dynamic as far as the weather goes. It's got day, night, and solar eclipse. That's it. So basically all this mod does is it alters the weather in Subnautica to where there's actually going to be dynamic weather events now. As we can see, it's raining, but this isn't the only one. If I type in set weather, we can see all the different weather events. We got clear skies, which is the regular Subnautica weather, light rain, thunderstorm, golden thunderstorm, and it wasn't fast enough to read the whole thing. Golden thunderstorm, foggy, and windy. Golden thunderstorm is kind of like a joke weather. Yeah, as we can see, there's a bunch of golden Freddy. 87? Okay, there's a bunch of Freddy Fazbears just raining from the sky, and the sky's all yellow. I don't know how likely this one is to actually trigger in the game. I honestly don't think it can do it on its own. I think you have to type it in. So I don't think you have to worry about this one. Well, we don't care about the bite of 87. But I mean, other than that, this mod is pretty straightforward. All it does is just add a bunch of new weather events into Subnautica, which I feel like is something that the game should have had already, because it is a survival. What the freak was that? Like a big old chicken nugget falling from the sky. This is a survival game, so, I feel like weather is kind of important to set the atmosphere and tone of survival games. So I feel like it's an aspect that should have, been fleshed out a little more in the base game of Subnautica. Right, so our next mod on this list is going to be called the Visible, I don't know what I was about to say. The Visible Lockers mod. Really straightforward mod, does exactly what it sounds like. It just makes the interior of lockers actually visible. So let me demonstrate. Alright, so typically in the base game of Subnautica, whenever you have regular lockers like this, these glass lockers that you would imagine you'd be able to see through whenever you put stuff in them, you actually can't. Like whenever you just fill them up, I mean, they just kind of fill up with nothing, because you'll put items in here and then it'll be invisible right here. But with this mod, and you can see all the little items that you put in there. It's something very, very small, but it's also a very nice detail because it keeps you from having to open lockers to see what's actually in there. You can kind of just take a look and see what's all in there. Now I feel like this should have been already in the game, primarily because, I mean, these lockers are glass, these are glass lockers, you can see through them, so why the heck can't you see what you're putting in them? It makes sense for the other lockers in the game, like this one right here, these wall lockers, because they aren't see-through. You have to physically open them to see what's in there. But for these lockers, I feel like we should have already had the ability to see through them, or at least see a little bit of what we were putting in there, because it's a see-through locker. I mean, I feel like that should be one of the benefits of putting a glass freestanding locker down. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, this is literally all this mod does. All the mods on this list are going to be very, very simple ones in nature, nothing too complicated, because again, we're just trying to stick to things that should have already been in the game. All right, so our next mod for today is going to be the Alterra mini fridge mod. Now this one may seem a little bit out of place, so all it does just adds a new interior module that you can build called the Alterra mini fridge. You can just place it down like so. Now it does fit the theme of Subnautica, with the whole Alterra color scheme, which is really nice. It's got an Alterra symbol on the side. Now some may say this is a little out of place because I mean it's a mini fridge and we're underwater and stuff. But so as I'm sure we all know, Subnautica does have a spoiling mechanic when it comes to certain foods. Well, not even certain, every food. Yeah, we can see this is old cooked spade fish, and you can't put this stuff in regular lockers and stuff because it'll still go bad. So if they were gonna have a spoiling fish or food mechanic, they should have had something you can put that in to sort of increase the amount of time it takes before something to go bad, and that's what this mini fridge does. So whenever you put stuff in here, it'll keep it from going bad, which is something they should have already, I feel like should have already been in the game, because we already have a spoiling fish / food mechanic. So why don't we have something to refrigerate or keep that fish fresh? You know what I'm saying? As far as I know, there's nothing like that in this game. So our next mod is going to be a quality of life feature, more or less, called the bulk crafting mod. So basically all it does is it lets you craft things in bulk, which is, considering how much stuff you have to craft in this game, especially some stuff that requires 10 titanium to make, I feel like this should have already been a feature. So basically whenever you hover over items, as we can see I'm doing right now, we can see that little arrow at the bottom that says change quality. So if I just scroll up, so for example, if I needed 3 pieces of bleach, instead of having to click the bleach button 3 times to craft individual ones, I can just scroll up to the number 3 and then just craft them all at once, which is Really nice feature that I feel like should have already been in the game for obvious reasons, because having to click the button over and over and over and over and over again, especially when you have items that require multiple of the same resource, can be quite tedious to do just over and over and over again, and can be a little annoying after playing the game for some time. So, and it sort of balances out because it takes a little longer to craft anyways. Like if I were to make 62 bleach, you can see it takes 167 seconds. So it's gonna take a little longer to craft, but it's gonna craft everything at once, so I don't have to keep spamming the button over and over again. I'd rather look at that than click a button over and over and over and over and over and over again, you know? The game's clicking the button for me, and I can very much appreciate that. Ooh, voice crack? Because the only time you can actually craft multiple of one item is if the game lets you. For example, when you're breaking down like a metal salvage, you can get 4 titanium, but like you can't really decide on anything else though. So it's like only whenever the game lets you can you get multiple of one item. All right, so our next mod is going to involve vehicles, because there's a reason I'm just slamming my Seamouth around like a freaking maniac, and it's because our next mod is going to be the Moonpool, I was about to say it wrong, the Moonpool vehicle repair mod. So all this mod does is makes it to where whenever you park a vehicle in your Moonpool, it'll automatically start repairing, which is something I 100% think should have already been in the base game. It might be a little glitchy actually, hold on. So now we're in the Moonpool. My vehicle was at like 17 when I first parked it in here, so now it's just going to repair on its own. You can see 22, 24, it's gonna go up again, 27, so it's just slowly repairing on its own. Can the weather chill out? Now you see all this, like all these advanced like arms and stuff that sort of hold your vehicle in place whenever you park it in here. Those arms recharge your vehicle, like recharge the energy and stuff. So why wouldn't they be able to repair it while it's sitting in here? I feel like that's just silly, and it doesn't make any sort of sense at all for that to be the case in the base game. If your junk can be automatically recharged, it should also be able to be automatically repaired in here. They could have like a little tiny little drone, because there are drones in this game, like with the mobile vehicle bay. Whenever you like go and build a vehicle, the little drones fly out. So they could have had like a tiny little drone, or even like a sort of like repair tool arm that sort of sits at the top, and whenever your vehicle is damaged, it'll just like sort of seep down and start repairing stuff, have like a nice little animation or something. But I feel like there was no reason for there not to have like automatic repair in the Moonpool, because your vehicle's already being recharged in here, so why can't it be repaired as well? All right, so our next mod is going to involve character and vehicle control. So let me go ahead and get the Seamouth out real quick. So our next mod is going to be called the roll control mod. It sort of rhymes, it rhymes together perfectly, which is kind of funny. But all this mod does is it gives you more control over your character. So I have it currently set. If we go to the options, you can toggle whichever you want, like what key you want to activate it. Mine is set to left alt. So in the base game for Subnautica, typically whenever you like angle your character in a weird manner or your vehicle in a weird manner, it'll automatically readjust and put you back upright. So let's say if I look up like this and I try to flip over, my vehicle automatically flips me back upright. So if I flip like this, you can see it flips you back upright. So if we activate roll control by hitting left alt, but whenever I look up like this, it's not going to automatically flip me around anymore. Instead, I can just have free control over whatever I'm doing. So I can essentially do a backflip like I just did in my Seamouth without the game automatically taking control of me. You can also roll to the right like this and do like a little barrel roll to the left. You can drive upside down. You know, I feel like this should have already been in the base game because you're underwater. You know, you're underwater, so I feel like you should have complete freedom over your character instead of being automatically adjusted every time you start flipping in a certain way. Or at the very least, you should be able to have the option to turn that on and off. You know, like if you want to be automatically adjusted, or if you want to do it yourself. And you can do it when you're outside of your vehicle like this, and I can just manually do everything. Which, I mean, it isn't really necessary, but I just feel like it's a feature that you should have already been in the base game, because you should have the option to be able to toggle whether or not you want to be automatically adjusted whenever you're in your vehicle and whatnot, or if you don't and you want to do it manually. All right, so our next mod is going to be a more, I feel like a controversial one that I feel like some people may feel shouldn't be in Subnautica in the base game, and others may feel it should have been. Either way, I'm going to explain my reasoning. So our next mod is going to be the Subnautica Map Mod. So all it does is it adds a actual map into Subnautica for your PDA. So if we just open the PDA, go to Beacon Manager, you can toggle it by hitting the like upper right hand corner. You just toggle between the beacons and the actual map, and we can see the map is right here. Now, the map shows you the coordinates of whatever your mouse is hovering over. It also shows you the coordinates of where you are, and it shows you, you know, a map of your terrain. It shows landmarks, all that good stuff whenever you go past it, and all that jazz. Now, a key thing to think about whenever you see this map mod is the fact that, one, maps already exist in this game, like in the base game. You just don't have it in the PA, because when you put the scanner room down, you literally get a small little like reading. Whenever your scanner room is on, you can see a small little reading of your environment, and if you have the range upgrades, you can see even further out. So you can see a pretty good chunk of what's around you through this little 3D map right here. So there's already a map in the base game, and you can scan stuff on this map. The only difference here is you're going to be restricted to using it only with the scanner room, and then with this mod you can use it on your PDA, essentially wherever you are you can use it. Because I think I've had somebody say that the map mod ruins Subnautica because Subnautica doesn't need maps or something like that, because the maps take some aspect out of Subnautica, to which I disagree, because it doesn't really do. Because if the map came fully filled out already, then I would say it takes away from the game and like sort of like mystery. What was I about to say? Mysterious? Takes away from the mystery of the game and the map and actually exploring. But because the map comes in blank, you know, it only fills up depending on what areas you've been to. So as you explore, you're still going to be able to be surprised while being able to easily find your way back to areas you've already been to. And there's also beacons in the game to help guide you back to areas. So there's already like a bunch of guidance systems in the game to help sort of direct you to areas you've either already been into. That's the terminology we're using here. Guide you back to areas that you want to explore in the future. The scanner room literally scans certain resources, and it also shows you a 3D version of the map and terrain all around you without you actually having to go to those certain parts. At the very least, this map comes in fully. Oh, it actually shows you the range of the scanner room. That's kind of cool, actually. You know, I don't think this map really ruins anything for Subnautica. It just makes it a little more simpler as far as like navigating goes, because once you've been to an area, you can see it on the map. So you know, you can easily guide yourself back to the area. Now, the only downside to this is that if you move the map around, so you can see I have the biome thing selected, but I'm moving the cursor around to different parts of the map that I haven't even explored yet, but it is showing me the names of those other biomes. That is a downside. I will say that's a downside. I've just been backing up into this wall this whole time. I'm like, why haven't I moved anywhere? You know, if my voice cracks one more time, I might just end this video right now. Like, yeah, that's the Subnautica Map Mod. Let me know your thoughts on that. You know, if you think it should have been in the base game, or if you think it's better left out. You know, I feel like it should have already been in there, because now if we didn't have like things like the scanner room and beacons, then I think the map shouldn't be here. But because we already have all that other stuff, you know, the map is just one missing thing that we might as well have already had, because we have all the other stuff. All right, so our next mod is going to involve base building. It's a really simple mod that makes no sense that you weren't able to do in the base game. So this is called the Rotatable Ladders Mod. Literally all it does is it lets you rotate the ladders when you put them down. That's literally it. So you have to put the ladder down, and then you can start rotating it around. Now, there was no reason that you weren't able to do this in the base game, because the ladders, whenever they get put down, they sort of get put in this awkward position where it's blocking the whole walkway, which is a little annoying and kind of ugly to look at. So having the ability to put it off to the side like this makes everything look a lot neater. Now, the only downside is it's not going to match whenever you look up like this. It does look better in your base whenever you're walking around, so you don't have that awkward ladder just facing in the dead center of this walkway, because that looks really stupid and annoying. And I really don't like how you can't change that in the base game. So this mod literally just gives you the ability to change that, and that's literally it. Because you can rotate the majority of stuff in the game, but you can't rotate the ladders. You know, the one thing that they want to awkwardly place, they won't let you rotate. That's hilarious to me. All right, so our next mod is going to be I was about to say a vehicle mod, because I just put something in the Moonpool. Our next mod is going to be a base mod called the True Base Colorizer. It's actually one of my favorite mods that I still use today. So it's going to add a new interior module. Head over here, and we have the little base colors monitor, let you change the color of your base. Can I put it down? It's got a nice little interface to it, which isn't necessary, but the main feature that we want from this mod is the ability to change the color of our base, which is not something you can do in Subnautica 1, but you can do that in Subnautica Below Zero. I was about to say Subnautica 2, but technically that game is you know, Yeah. So there's two reasons I feel like this should have already been in the base game for Subnautica. One, because it was a base feature in Below Zero, so they already knew that they should have already had this in this game. And the fact that they were willing to make it a base feature in Below Zero means that, you know, it could have already been a base feature in Subnautica 1, and they might have already been considering it after the release of this game, but you know, it is what it is. And two, the other reason I think that this should have been a base feature is because you can recolor the vast majority of your vehicles in this game already. So if we see the sea moth right here, up this little panel, you can recolor it, do whatever you want, change the name, change the interior, change the stripe, you know, you can change all that stuff on your vehicle. You can do that with the sea moth, prawn suit, and you can also do it with the Cyclops. But you can't change the color of your base for whatever reason. You know, you can change the color of everything but your base. I just find that to be kind of funny, you know? You can change the color of virtually everything. You know, you got the base exterior, the exterior modules, base interior modules, you can change the lights and the color of the glass. All right, now we can see, you know, the inside of the entire base is changed. Looks all nice and pretty in here now. We got the lights changed, interior colors changed, you know, all the stuff that you can basically change on a vehicle, you can now change on your base. So there's another mod that goes with this one. It's called the Sleek Bases mod. It's not necessary because I don't have it on right now, but you can see it sort of looks a little funny without the Sleek Bases mod on. But you definitely don't need it to recolor the base. The main thing that we want to be able to do is recolor the base, hence why I excluded the Sleek Bases mod. Alright, so our next mod might be another controversial one as well, but I feel like it's a little necessary, and I feel like it should have most definitely been in the base game. So this mod is called the Hull Reinforcement Fix. So it basically changes the regular hull reinforcement that we already had for the vehicles. So if we go to common modules, you can see the regular hull reinforcement is right here. And when you read the description, you know, it sort of gives off the impression that you're going to be taking less damage in your vehicle. Now, if you read that, you know, preemptively hardens the chassis before collision, eliminating damage under normal conditions. So when you read that, I feel like you would get the idea that your overall damage would be reduced or something of that nature. But the only thing that gets reduced is collision damage. And it's only really when you bump into like terrain. I think it applies when you bump into creatures, but not when creatures bite you. So whenever like a Reaper grabs your vehicle, it's not going to reduce damage with that whenever it's getting like thrashed around and stuff. Basically what I'm getting at is that the hull reinforcement in the base game is trash. So what this does is it just makes it to where the hull reinforcement actually reduces overall damage instead of just reducing collision damage with rocks and creatures. Because I don't know, I feel like when you hear the word hull reinforcement, you know, your vehicle, you imagine you're going to be stronger, your vehicle is going to be stronger, but you know, that's not 100% the case with the base game for whatever reason. Now I got no hull reinforcement on. Can you not go after the refight? Go after the person, please. Thank you. I'm gonna see how much damage he does real quick. Looks like he does around like 8 damage per tick. I need you to let go because you're about to kill me. So he was doing about 8 damage per tick and got me down to around 25 health, it looked like. So now that we have the Mark II hull reinforcement on, that's not trash anymore. We're gonna see how much damage we take. Looks like he does about 5 damage per tick now instead of 8, you know. And I'm at 61. I didn't even have to use perimeter defense that time. Okay, so it affects the regular hull reinforcement as well, because we're taking less damage, you know. In the base game, it wouldn't affect that, and I'd still be taking like 8 damage per tick like I had no hull reinforcement on. But because I have this mod on that changes the hull reinforcement, you know, I'm actually taking a little less damage with it on, so it actually makes it a viable upgrade to have on. Alright, so our next mod is going to involve the prawn suit. This is called I can never read these mod names right, I don't know why. It's called the Grapple Arm Pickup Mod. So basically all it does is lets you pick up stuff with the grapple arm. So say I have both arms occupied like I have right now, you know, I have one drill arm and one grapple arm. In the base game, if I wanted to pick something up, I would have to get out of my prawn suit just to collect an item, unless I'm like drilling something or something of that nature. But with this mod enabled, all you have to do is shoot it with the grapple arm, like so, and it just automatically adds it to the vehicle storage. Why are you still over here? I'm confused. We're done testing the dang hull reinforcement. I don't know why you're still over here, bro. I get that in the base game, you do have the option of having the claw arms to pick up items and stuff, and it actually makes sense as far as like physics go, because you can literally like see the claw arm reach out and grab whatever item you're looking at. But almost deters you from using another arm. You know, it sort of like makes you, it's either pick one arm to have on the prawn suit so you can pick items, small items up, or pick 2 arms and have to get out in dangerous areas, you know, to pick stuff up over and over and over again, which can get really repetitive really fast and a little dangerous depending on the biome that you're in. So yeah, I feel like they should have had, if not this grapple arm option, grapple arm pickup option, they should have had a option, you know, for players to pick items up while still being in the prawn suit and having both arms on at the same time, or both arms occupied at the same time. Because having to see something on the ground, like this little limestone outcrop right here, I'm like, ooh, you know, I'm collecting one item, so now I gotta hop out, grab this, get back in. Ooh, I see another one. Grab this, hop out, grab that, get back in. You know, it just gets really tedious really fast, I feel like. If you're playing the game if you're doing that process for like longer than 30 minutes, I feel like it gets really old and tedious. And you kind of just want to get it done as quickly as you can. So I feel like they should have had an option for you to do that. And I guess that option comes in the form of the the claw arm. But again, you'd have to sacrifice an arm for that on your prawn suit. You just have like a useless arm that you'd only use for, I guess, attacking creatures or grabbing stuff. All right, so our next mod is going to be involving the grow beds called, whoa, I don't know why I said it like that. It's going to be involving the grow beds. It's going to be called the EasySeeds Mod. I was about to say Easy Planter Mod, like an idiot. So typically to harvest seeds from a plant in the base game, what you would have to do is you would have to get a little survival knife out, and you'd have to melee the plant until you got, you know, however many seeds you want, or until the plant disappeared. But this mod, all you have to do is hold the shift key, because that's what my sprint is set to, and then just left click, and it'll just automatically harvest all the seeds without you having to go through that stupid process of meleeing the plants over and over and over again until you got the seeds. I don't know, I just feel like it makes more sense for your character to like do it by hand, get the seeds by hand, because maybe they like crack the plant open or something of that nature and harvest the seeds that way. Because I don't really think stabbing a plant over and over again is going to just pop out seeds. That's kind of strange, and physics wise it's a little bit silly. Now I'm sure there are some plants that you have to sort of like carve things off of to get to the seeds, but why was I just floating? What was that? I feel like you can consider this mod a little more quality of life than, you know, something that should have been in the base game. But at the same time, I feel like having the only way to harvest seeds is through hitting a plant with a knife is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of strange to me. This one might be a little more quality of life. I can see that. This one might be a little more quality of life than it is something that should have been in the base game. Our last two mods are going to involve the Cyclops. So the first one is going to be the Cyclops Beacon Deployer mod. All that's going to do is let you build an upgrade on your Cyclops that you can install. That'll let you put beacons in the decoy launcher. Bottom right, we can see deployable beacon module. Because in the base game, if you're in your Cyclops and you want to deploy a beacon in a potentially dangerous biome, you would have to get all the way out of your Cyclops and deploy the beacon by hand. And you'd also have to type all that in and all that stuff to, you know, sort of like name the beacon so you know what it is. So this one is both quality of life, and I also feel like it should have been in the base game because it really makes a lot of sense, you being able to load an entire beacon into this thing right here. Because the decoy loading tube, or not the decoy loading tube, the decoy tubes that you load into the decoy launcher, I mean, they're about the same size as the beacon. The beacon might be a little smaller actually, but if you can deploy if you can deploy decoy tubes from the Cyclops, you know, and they just float in the air, I mean, I feel like you'd be able to deploy a beacon the exact same way. I feel like from a logical standpoint, it just makes sense. It would make sense for you to be able to do that, do both of those things. So you can see you can enter the beacon name up here. So I'm just gonna name it hello, how are you? And we just hit the button to launch the beacon. And then if we turn around, beacon is right there asking me how I am, and I'm doing fantastic, aside from this Reaper trying to eat the tail end of my Cyclops, you know, because he's bored with his life. He has nothing else to do ever since I spawned him in. I mean, he just can't leave me alone. And then our last mod for my list of mods that I feel like should have already been in Subnautica as base game features, we have the Cyclops docking, I was about to say docking bay, Cyclops docking hatch. Literally all it is it lets you dock the Cyclops to your base. And I feel like this should have already been in the game, or something like this should have already been in the game. You know, there should have been some feature to let you dock the Cyclops to something. What the freak was that? To something, you know, because you can dock every vehicle. You can dock vehicles in the Cyclops. You can dock vehicles in the Moonpool, but you can't dock the Cyclops to anything. You just sort of have to leave it floating out somewhere. So all you're going to do is you're just going to drive your Cyclops up to this little docking hatch, and after a certain point, it's going to start automatically just guiding you on its own, or it's going to guide itself to the docking hatch. I'm not pressing anything right now. Dude, the Cyclops is messing up the docking procedure. Are you serious? I said the Cyclops, the Reaper, can you get... Okay, there we go. The screen shook. Are we done? Okay, thank you. Alright, Cyclops did sustain some damage from that stupid Reaper Leviathan, but you know, so if we head down and then go to the ladder, we just disembark and it'll put us straight into the base. which is really nice. Shows our Cyclops energy, and it also recharges it. No way he just yanked the Cyclops off the... Did he just throw the Cyclops off the hatch? Yo, this Reaper's a hater. Look at him, he just ran away after he did that. He's doing that just to troll. That's why it's realigning on its own, you piece of trash. Oh my gosh, bro. But yeah, that's about the gist of this mod. It just gives your Cyclops an area to dock itself, because it's the only vehicle in the game, literally the only vehicle in the game, that does not have a like dedicated docking area. And I feel like it sort of needs one. Well, actually, no, it doesn't really need one, but I feel like it should have already had one, considering every other vehicle can dock except for the Cyclops. It didn't have to look like this specifically, you know, they just needed to have something that it could hook onto, or at least like align itself next to, you know, something of that nature. Maybe like a giant structure that you put down that's shaped exactly like the Cyclops that you just drive it straight into, or something like that. Just something, I feel like it needs something that it can sort of like align itself to. I feel like there were some mods on this list that were a little more like quality of life instead of like base game worthy features. You know, like the EasySeeds, I feel like that was definitely more quality of... I could see how somebody, you know, you can make the argument that that mod is more quality of life than it really is a base game feature. But, you know, you could also just make the argument that you could take out the way that you harvest seeds in the base game, you know, with the knife, and just have the EasySeeds mod as the only way to harvest seeds. And I feel like that'd be... Anyways, those were 14, hopefully 14, if I counted correctly. 14 different mods that I feel like should have been in the base game for Subnautica, or at least have been base features, you know, features that shouldn't have to have been modded in. I really don't think that was proper grammar again. That's about all I have for y'all. Thank you for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed, and I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.